Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dawn of War 3's closed beta, and this time it is a 2v2 as playing as Eldar. So last time we did Space Marines, we covered the base mechanics and the base objectives of this, what seems to be the main multiplayer mode from what we've been teased so far for Relic Entertainment's very own 40k themed RTS series. Maybe the culmination of that series with Dawn of War 3, who knows. But yeah, we're going to be playing as Eldar, the tricksy, fleety space elves of the 40k Grimdark universe. So as you can see, we're just going to do the standard thing of generating the most basic warrior unit that we have available. Same thing as you do with Space Marines. The first thing you do really is make a tactical squad, and as Eldar, you do exactly the same thing. You make a Dire Avenger squad. Essentially, what Dire Avengers do, they have the Eldar equivalent of machine guns or bolters. They have these shuriken catapults, and they also have the ability to throw out a plasma grenade, which allows you to knock down opposing ranged units really nicely. Hell, even melee units if they're starting to charge in on your Dire Avenger squad, and buy you a lot of time to get extra damage in, or just run away if it's something you don't want to fight yet. So yeah, the Dire Avengers, loving that unit. It's a really simple addition, having just a grenade throw move, but it really does work in terms of making a unit fun to play, because otherwise this would just be a ranged unit that you sit on a position and then they shoot stuff. But throw in an ability that you can target and time and micromanage, and it really becomes really fun. And that is what the Dire Avengers are, very comparable to the Guardians from Dawn of War 2. With that, yeah, as you can see, back at home, I'm just building the Eldar equivalent. I can't remember what the building is actually called, but the building that allows you to upgrade your infantry units, as well as your vehicle units. But given that we're going to be playing the early and mid-game in this game, we probably won't be transitioning into vehicles just yet, so focusing purely on the health and damage upgrade for the infantry units in Dawn of War 3. And here you can see we've just pushed forward a little bit. We're trying to contest a resource node on this left-hand side of the map, on our side of the map really, given where our base was positioned at the start of the game. And unfortunately we do get pushed off with the timely arrival of a drop pod dropping on our heads, which is surprisingly painful. You know, several tons of just ceramite and metal just slamming down into the earth. Pretty classy Space Marine stuff. So, as you can see, I'm just sort of investing some resources into upgrading the resource nodes that we do have control of, and which our ally, who's also playing as Eldar, has also taken control of. So, similar to the 2v2 and 3v3 modes in Dawn of War 2, if one of your allies captures a node, you can spend your money on that node to upgrade it for them if they're having a hard time economically, or if you just want to spread the costs of upgrading kind of economically with nodes and stuff. So here you can see my ally has 3 Dire Avenger squads just really doing a ton of work, and the Space Marine opponent has kind of had enough of this, as you would expect. So it's 3 tactical squads versus 3 Dire Avenger squads. Now, if this was Dawn of War 2 and those Dire Avengers were Guardians, I would definitely say that the tactical Marines have the absolute advantage. Space Marine basic units being typically very powerful. But as you can see in this game, Dire Avengers with their plasma grenade ability from the offset, they can do a lot of work, and the simple disruption ability and knockback ability of the plasma grenade really allows them to do really well against other basic units. Particularly, of course, when your ally brings in 2 extra squads of Dire Avengers to back you up, which is what I did. Seemed like a nice thing to do at the time. So, at this point, we've really just kind of pushed back the Space Marine player, and this allows us to go and capture that node that we were quarreling over earlier at some point soon in the future. But here you can see the problem with not placing your buildings correctly or safely, which the Space Marine player did. So clearly he decided, well, the early game's gone well, so maybe this was after the fight that he had with me where he pushed me back successfully, so we decided to build a building there, a production building that allows him to generate further units, because that would shorten the amount of walk time it takes whenever he makes a unit, and for that unit to walk from the building that it was produced from to the front line. So by building this building, aggressively pushed forwards, he reduces that walk time whenever he makes a new unit. But that comes with a cost of, if you lose the front line, or if the front line kind of gets pushed back towards you, that building suddenly becomes very exposed. Which is what you can see kind of happen there. We've just been plinking away at that building, just doing damage from the high ground. Perfectly safely. He can get some squads to kind of block us, but here you can see he's trying to kind of just do damage to the resource node from the low ground, but fair's fair, and we can do the same thing from the high grounds to his units and his building. So overall, we're in a very good position. And as you can see, we did capture that node that we were fighting over in the early game. So yeah, we've basically secured the middle of the map, and this is a consistent theme in this game. You will not see the Orc player for some time. He is off doing his own thing, generating, I don't know, piles of scrap and things. So you can see we've got a Dark Reaper squad for the Eldar. This is the Dark Reaper, this is the Eldar, sorry. The Eldar's heavy artillery infantry unit, I suppose I would describe it. It's the warrior aspect of the Eldar who can basically do massive damage to both infantry, vehicles, buildings. Yeah, basically their weapons are good against everything, but they take a while to set up, and if they get closed in on in close quarters, they basically get torn apart. And as you can see, we managed to destroy the Space Marine player to such a degree that he just GG'd and quit out. So he's been replaced by the AI, which is unfortunate, but that's just what happens. And you can see the shots from the Dark Reapers coming in, extremely long range, allows us to do a ton of work to the Space Marine units, and that is pretty sick. And here you can see the Space Marine ability to drop down the chapter banner. Can be captured by the enemy, and this completely nullifies all bonuses that it otherwise would give. I believe it gives like minor buffs to damage and maybe damage resistance. I'd have to check the actual statistics on the chapter banner as to what it gives Space Marine units, but regardless, if the opponent captures that banner, it no longer gives the buff, and so you've got to push back the enemy and then retake it with your Space Marines in order to get the buff back again. Which is really cool. Like, it's a really story-based idea of, like, the chapter calls in their banner to inspire the Space Marines to greater feats of, you know, heroism and just destruction against the filthy Xenos, and of course the corrupt heretics and traitor Marines. But yeah, it's really cool. In terms of story, it's really cool, and in terms of gameplay, it gives like a mini objective for people to fight over during a match, which is always quite nice. It's similar actually to the Orc Warg Tower, which is really pivotal to the whole Orcs generating scrap to upgrade their units and then build more units from, but which your opponent really wants to close in on that Warg Tower and destroy it to nullify the advantage that it gives. Not to mention the Warg ability itself, which I will show in the next video for the Dawn of War 3 closed beta, which is me playing as Orcs, and I get some really cool early game usage out of the Warg ability from the Warg Tower. So you got that to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. But here you can see we finally found the Orc player, and that noise you can hear is the Warg Tower hyping up and generating its Warg ability. In a moment you'll see everything gets buffed. There you go, everything starts moving much more quickly on the Orc side, and this allows the Orcs to play really quickly and aggressively if they need to. Of course, this isn't really enough to overcome a massive numbers advantage, but in a close fight, activating the Warg ability will just allow you to demolish a similar sized force, I've found, and that is pretty sick. So here you can see we're just pulling back, and you can see actually that my ally has placed a webway gate, a webway portal, which is that small building with the kind of the iris of, you know, swirling energy, I guess. Swirling warp energy. And what that allows us to do is, if you see whenever one of our units, one of the Eldar units moves about, they move faster than they have been before that webway gate was placed. And this is the buff that webway gates give, which is Fleet of Foot. This was a passive thing, I believe, in Dawn of War 2, which essentially gave all Eldar units the ability to to just run faster. Actually, I think it was a microwave ability that it could activate for a burst of speed. But in this game, whenever there's a webway portal nearby, all Eldar units run a lot faster. And this kind of not only supports the idea of Eldar being kind of like the fragile but really fast-paced and hard-hitting race, but also the webway portal itself. You can hop in and then come out in another webway portal across the map, and this allows you to, with clever placement of webway portals, kind of quickly move across the map to different locations, retake objectives after a good fight, and yeah, with clever placement of those portals, you can do a lot of work, and this makes the Eldar race a really interesting race to play, I think, once you've kind of just gotten used to them and how they work. So here you can see, since there's a bit of a downtime going on and we've pushed back the Orc player for the moment, I'm just kind of at home looking at some of the webway buildings, some of the Eldar buildings, Eldar units, Eldar upgrades, just to get a better idea of how they work. And I do advise that you do that when you hop into Dawn of War 3 in the open beta if you're going to try that, or in the full game release when it releases on the 27th of April. Man, I cannot wait for it to be released. It looks amazing! And it plays amazing just from playing it as well. So you can see Gorguts, the Orc war boss, one of the elite units for Orcs, is getting involved, using his claw ability to basically hop a distance into the middle of a bunch of Eldar units, and then he can use his other ability, which swings his claw around, which you can see there, and that damages and slows to a slight degree any enemy units nearby. So you can see, whilst my other units are off taking a point, I decide to still help my ally by summoning in one of my heaviest elite units as Eldar, the Wraithlord. Now the Wraithlord is a beast of a walker, probably my favourite walker design-wise in the 40k universe. It's just this sleek kind of bone warrior with this massive Wraithbone sword, and you can see how much damage he does to buildings, and it's the same damage to vehicles as well. So with 4 hits, he took a slightly weakened Warg Tower all the way down to, you know, dead, which is pretty insane. And he has some other cool micro ball abilities, and that is pretty sick. But yeah, there you go, that's the Eldar. We take the win. We quickly pushed out the Space Marine player on my side of the map with some help from my ally, with a lot of help from my ally really. And then we just consolidated our lead, continued to make units, and then pushed against the Orc player when he finally showed his head. As you can see on screen, he tried to make a kind of a Warg Tower heavy just base. Maybe he was going for the long game, maybe he was going to try and play the epic Morkanaut for the Orcs known as Beauty, the giant Orc. What would you call it? It's not a Titan. The Wraith Knights and things of this caliber aren't Titans, but regardless, it's a massive walker for the Orcs. Maybe he was just going for the Orc late game. But as you can see, I've just skipped forward in the footage a bit to show you just how cool the statistics page of a post-match section of a game really is. It allows you to check out what you did in a game, so if you lost, you can look at what maybe you didn't do as well as everyone else in that match. Maybe you didn't spend enough resources, maybe you didn't make enough units, who knows. But regardless, coming up next, Orcs in a 3v3, and yeah, that should be really cool, as Orcs are also super fun. At the moment, it's a tie-up between Orcs and Eldar for me as my favourite race to play going into Dawn of War 3's full release. But yeah, see you in the next video, coming up soon.